Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar77, and their tagline is, Satan is not a pogo stick. Original OP is u/SD Chibi, posted to r/Legal Advice, July 24th, 2018. I allowed my 17-year-old sister to move in with me, CT to NY, Connecticut to New York. Dad is threatening me with a kidnapping charge, New York. Sorry for the huge post. Last year, April 2017, my sister, then 17 and living in Connecticut with our mother, dropped out of high school and came to live with me. I live in New York State, Albany area. My mother is disabled by mental illness and in her condition was neglecting my sister and my adult brother that lived there, disabled with autism, and was physically abusive towards both of them. According to the custody agreement in my mother and father's divorce in 2006, it was Dad that was supposed to be the custodial parent, and my mom was supposed to be paying him child support and getting weekend visitation. My sister lived with Dad and his then girlfriend, now wife, for about 3 years, and then sent her to live with Mom. However, Mom never got the support order changed, but worked out an agreement with Dad. She got to keep the SSI money that was my sister's benefit instead of it being forwarded to Dad for support, and he kept her on his health insurance. When my sister came to live with me last year, Mom told me she would send the benefit money onto me for taking care of my sister. She didn't. Dad kept her on his health insurance but refused to pay anything towards her online school course when asked, saying he didn't have any money to spare. So, I'm paying it because she needs a high school education and it's only $50 a month. This year my sister turned 18 and has almost finished her online high school courses and has started looking for a job but is considering trade school. I'm so proud of her. She will be staying with me until she can afford to move out. My wife and I have agreed to that and have no problem with that. In New York, child support can be received up to age 21. So I filed a petition for child support for Mom and for Dad through New York State, and the county clerk here sent out notices to them to appear for a court date. Dad received his yesterday and called me up, asking why I was doing this to him. Told me I need to drop the case because it's going to ruin him financially and that technically what you did was kidnapping. Because nobody asked him permission when my sister was moving from Connecticut to New York to live with me when the court order says she's supposed to live with him, but he doesn't want to go down that route because it's low. But that it's low of me to bring him to court about child support. So my question is, do I need to worry about being arrested for kidnapping? Would I be better off dropping the child support case? Too Long Didn't Read filed for child support against both parents after taking in my little sister. Dad said to drop the case and he'll overlook the kidnapping. Relevant comments, Brick 0000000. You do not need to be worried about being arrested for kidnapping because you never kidnapped her. You looked after your sister and went above and beyond for her. Your dad, quite frankly, unsurprisingly, is an idiot. Imagine being a police officer and getting called to a kidnapping charge where the girl is happy to be there, was given permission by the current parent, is now 18 years of age, and was given an opportunity to get an education. The kidnapper is a family member who allows her to come and go as she pleases, and the complaint is a deadbeat dad. And said father said he would overlook said charge for financial gain. Be proud of what you've done and who you are as a person. OP responds, thank you for the reassurance and the kind words. User Derp Spinny comments, so, extortion. The police aren't going to get involved in a kidnapping where the victim was a consenting 17-year-old at the time, and neither parent thought to report it until after she reached the age of maturity. The threat is largely empty. If by some miracle the police do want to talk to you about this, don't respond without an attorney, and tell them, frankly but politely, that you are not going to speak to them without one. But otherwise, relax. Personally, I would overlook your father's threats and ignore them, but however you choose to proceed, there's no point in engaging with them. The rest of this will be worked out in the hearing about support. OP responds, this is also what I was thinking, but I'm prone to anxiety and think I just need to hear it from other people that aren't emotionally involved in the issue themselves. Thanks for the answer. User El Convict responds, adding on to the previous poster, the only way the police would stay involved is if you press charges for extortion, which would be well deserved. Although I'd suggest just cutting that jackass out of your guys' lives altogether. OP responds, I don't plan on pressing charges. I was really hoping it wouldn't get nasty, but here we are. I hate how money issues turn family members against each other. I think he feels I'm being vindictive because my sister hasn't had a good childhood. While I'm angry about how my sister was treated by our parents, I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm just trying to make sure my sister can get what she needs. Update, August 27th, 2018, 1 month later. So I had my day in court today for the child support hearing. Dad actually showed up for court instead of using the option of conference call like my mother did. My sister, let's call her Valerie, wanted to sit in the courtroom in case the judge had any questions for her in particular. He didn't, but I'm proud of how brave my sister is for going to court when she doesn't have to, because I could feel my heart beating in my throat the entire time. The judge started out by saying he was unsure if a support order could be issued today, given that Valerie is now 18 and in Connecticut would be ineligible, but in New York would be eligible until 21, but then began asking some questions. Dad did a lot of talking at first, mostly saying how he had a court order that gave him full custody of Valerie and that my mom was supposed to be paying him child support. Then he said how Valerie dropped out of high school and left the state to live with me without telling him or getting his permission, and how he didn't know for a month after the fact. He complained that Mom never speaks to him about anything, that I make no effort to have a relationship with him, and that Valerie doesn't either. Boo-hoo, we're all gaining up on him and he doesn't know what he did to deserve it, etc. Sure enough, a few of you kind folks mentioned, the judge asked him, why didn't you know where she was for a month if she was supposed to be in your custody? He then said she was staying with her mother at the time, but that she would have had a place with him and still does have a place with him if she asked. At that point, sick of hearing him play the victim, I piped up and asked as calmly as I could manage, why didn't she have a place with you 9 years ago when you dropped her off at Mom's house? Didn't tell her you were coming back for her, and then got rid of all her belongings. My mother on the phone confirmed what happened and said that she asked me if I could take in my sister because of my brother's violent behavior in early 2017. Valerie was 17 at the time she moved to New York State and is still attending high school to earn her diploma. Better late than never. And I've been her sole source of support ever since. The judge then reviewed the guidelines of monetary support. My mother, being disabled and on Social Security, was to pay no more than $50 per month for support. Dad was to pay no more than 17% of his income, which translated to roughly $800 per month. The judge asked me what amount I was looking for. My answer was that I just wanted some help with groceries and her medical bills, so I asked for a total of $250 from Dad and the max $50 from Mom. Dad tried to haggle me down to $200 per month because he just bought a house last year. You should have seen the look on the judge's face. The judge reminded him that the guidelines recommend $800 a month, and I held firm on $250. Dad sighed and said he'll have to give up smoking to afford it. This is supposed to make me feel bad? The judge made the order for support effective until age 21, and I never get in trouble for allegedly kidnapping my little sister. Thank you to everyone here that gave me encouragement to see this through and not fall for Dad's intimidation tactics. Too long didn't read, I didn't get in trouble for taking in my little sister, and a court order for child support was issued. The fucking hubris of the father to try to haggle down from $250 to support his smoking habit after the judge just told him to his face that he could be garnished up to $800 per month. And this is, of course, on top of the fact that the judge just found out that the person who was supposed to have sole custody didn't and hasn't for 9 years. Tried playing sob story, and then it was found out that he was so out of the loop and did not give a shit that for an entire month, he was unaware of where his daughter was. I just know that as Buddy was pulling up into the courthouse parking garage, he was probably thinking to himself, I'm gonna walk the floor with these losers and it's gonna totally just be a clean sweep and I'll walk away with everything. Only for him to get fucking bodied. Even on top of that though, he kinda walked out lucky because he didn't get hit with nearly as much as he could have been. This post was collected by Choice Evidence 1983 and their tagline is, "It dawned on me that he was a wizard." The original OP is Substantial by 4881. Posted r/am_I_the_asshole November 23rd, 2025. It's also marked with a new update in case you've heard this one previously. Am I the asshole for telling my sister we're strangers after she eloped and broke all contact with us years ago? Apologies in advance if this post seems disorganized. My head is still reeling from all of this. 9 years ago, I was 18 then, my older sister eloped with her then boyfriend. Our parents, were an immigrant family, were vehemently opposed to her relationship. I remember me being okay with it personally. It wasn't my place. She eloped with her boyfriend and cut off all contact with us. My parents were besides themselves. I tried reaching out to her back then on different platforms, but was blocked. I even reached out to her best friends and asked them if they could at least get me in touch with her. They said she didn't know where she lived now, but that she told them she was happy. She had also left her workplace. Eventually, we all, me and my parents, came to an unspoken agreement to pretend she was never here, and I blocked her on everywhere too. I remember being extra particular to call regularly when I was in college because I was worried about their state of mind. We're now at a place where I can't remember the last time she crossed our minds. Yesterday, my sister knocked on my apartment door. She cried and hugged me when she saw me. I hugged her back initially too. I wasn't really thinking at the time. She was just going on about how much I had changed, how much she missed me all these years. Eventually, I kind of remembered everything and asked her why she was here and who had given her my address. She said she had swore to them that she wouldn't tell. I asked her why didn't she call first, since whoever gave my address probably gave my number too. She said she just wanted to see me in person. I told her we'd gotten over her. Why was she here? She said her issue had only been with our parents, not me. I told her about how I'd been blocked too by her when she left. She told me she was sorry she'd hurt me, but she had wanted a fresh start. Told me I was an uncle to a nephew and a niece. They weren't there at the time, they were at their father's. They recently divorced. She acted surprised that I wouldn't know. She said she'd told someone to tell our parents about them. Maybe it was hearing about the divorce that frustrated me more, because if we were going to have gone through all this pain, at least she could have found lasting happiness. I just told her she was a stranger to me now. She said we could have lunch together. She wanted to know all about what I'd been up to. I told her it was best if we continued to have no contact. She didn't act like an older sister when I needed her to, and that we were no longer family. We'd mourned her already, and we were now strangers. She was tearful. She gave me her address and phone number and left. Last night, I spoke to my girlfriend about what happened. She said she was still my sister, that I shouldn't have just turned her away. I told her she didn't know what we'd gone through in the days after she had eloped, but I still wanted to know here. Am I the asshole? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. What are your parents' thoughts? How do they feel about potential reconciliation? OP responds, I haven't told them about this. I don't see the point, I guess. They made their peace with her absence a while back. We all did. Commenter 2. What is it that you want to achieve? This is crucial to answering the question. OP responds, I don't know. I really had internalized that I'd never see her again. I remember the hurt I had felt at the time. I don't want to lose my headspace, and I don't want to act like everything I went through was okay, that it shouldn't have any meaning or consequences, and, of course, I want her and her kids to be safe and happy too. Commenter 3. Did she even apologize, or did she do the classic, it's such a long time ago, you should be over it by now move? If there's no sincerity, there's no trust that she won't ghost you again. She owes you a full and frank conversation about what happened, her actions, her motivations, and why she continued to block you. Without that, you really have nothing to work with. Good luck. OP responds, she did apologize. She said she was sorry that she had cut me off, that she never meant for us to lose touch. Her beef was with our parents only. I brought up that she blocked me everywhere, and she was just sobbing and apologizing. I also remember me begging her best friend for info and them saying they had no idea, which I've always suspected was them lying because she asked them to. Commenter 4. Not the asshole. She broke out contact with you for nearly a decade. She treated you as if you were disposable. There is no relationship to salvage. She doesn't get to unilaterally decide to pick you up again just because it works for her. I'm guessing she's decided now's a good time because she's getting divorced and, in essence, needs something. Time, attention, connection from you. Ask yourself, if she wasn't getting divorced, would she have reached out? You need to figure out who shared your address with her. OP responds, I hadn't thought of this, and I've been feeling sick thinking this might be true since I read this. That she wouldn't have ever reached out if she hadn't gotten divorced. Would have been fine without ever seeing me again. Although she didn't ask for anything material during our interaction, I guess she wanted lunch. She thought after 9 years of almost forgetting I had a sister, I'd be okay with lunch. Commenter 5. OP, I wonder if her boyfriend turned husband made her block you all. Could it be that getting away from him might be why she was able to reach out? OP responds, I don't know. Back then she would vouch for him a lot in front of our parents who really thought he was bad news, so I don't know. She seemed like it was all of her own volition. Commenter 6. Absolutely not the asshole. When will people start accepting the consequences of their actions, and why do other people think they can tell you how you should have responded to her? Your girlfriend should have kept her mouth shut and just held you and let you talk and been there for you. I wouldn't tell your parents you saw her either. That's a band-aid you don't want to rip off. OP responds, I won't be telling my parents. If she reached out to me, she can reach out to them the same way. Though she told me she won't be doing it. She'd only reached out to me. Commenter 7. Not the asshole, but that's a tough situation to be in. Just out of curiosity, why didn't the family accept her then boyfriend? Cultural, religious, age? OP responds, they just didn't think he would make a good partner, I think. She'd be vouching for him, and they, particularly my mom, would be telling her that essentially he's only interested in sex, to put it crudely. There may have been other subconscious reasons, possibly, I don't know, but at least when they talked about it, they would only bring up that he was bad news and that they were looking out for her. Downvoted commenter. Keep in mind that she might have cut you off because she was scared you would tell your parents anything that she told you. OP responds, no, we had covered for each other so often when I was young. She had covered for me too. There was stuff that I could only tell her. That could not have been a real fear. I've even told her friends that I wouldn't tell her parents, but at least ask her to meet up with me. I'm sorry if I sound pointed, but I haven't had to remember all this bullshit I went through in the aftermath of her elopement in a while, and it's just crazy how she just ditched us all. I don't think I can see her. I'd been thinking about it, but meeting her just means everything she put us through was fine. I remember how I felt at that time, and I can't let it go. Update 1, November 27th, 2025, 4 days later. Hi, thanks a lot to everyone for the support in my post, and to those who reached out for support. I'd been emotionally drained almost after meeting my sister. Like I said, I had made my peace after a lot of hurt and futile hope that I would never see her again. She had my number, and I hadn't blocked the new number of hers. I thought about it, and received advice to, but I just didn't. It slipped from my mind. She asked me on Tuesday how I was doing, and asked if we could meet on Wednesday. She really wanted me to meet her kids. I was really conflicted. I didn't want to oblige her, but I decided to say yes to at least meet them. I went to her apartment yesterday and met my niece and nephew. My niece had recently turned 9 and my nephew is 6. They're great kids, and I really enjoyed seeing them. I remember feeling a certain way when my sister was introducing me and she told him that the way he's my niece's younger brother, similarly, I'm her younger brother. We talked a bit and started talking about stories from us growing up. I hadn't and still haven't said everything's okay between us, but our stories and conversation went smoothly. I learned that after she eloped and got married, she had moved in with her husband into his place in a town a few hours away from us. That around 2019, they had moved to the city we were currently in. According to her, she didn't know all this time that I later moved here for work after college too. I told her about what I'd been up to all these years. My college, my job, my girlfriend, etc. After that, the kids were in their room and my sister brought up us all doing something again over the weekend. I told her we weren't okay. She can't expect me to forget everything. She said she was sorry that her moving out had nothing to do with me, that she missed me. I was angry at the fact that she had no idea the pain I'd gone through, both personally and then having to be the crutch for my parents' pain. I told her I didn't believe her, that she would have been perfectly fine with never seeing me again if she hadn't gotten divorced, that I could have been dead, and she probably wouldn't have broken a sweat upon learning it since she was so blissed out from her domestic life. I know it was ugly. I've never said anything like this, but in that moment, I just wanted her to feel some kind of hurt, of the kind that she'd given me. She broke down and said I can hate her if I want, but to just not hate her forever. There has to be a limit. I regretted saying what I said when I saw her crying, so I just sat next to her and asked about why they divorced. She told me that their life had been going all right the first few years. She said she'd even sent word through a mutual when the kids were born, which either the mutual messed up or my sister did because we never heard about it. She said when COVID happened, her marriage became hell for her, that it had uncovered a side of her ex she never knew. He became abusive, had disdain for their son, revealed he used to record every single conversation of theirs, had convinced her she was crazy and a bad wife and mother, that she stuck with him because of the kids until she had enough, that a very good neighbor of theirs, whom she had become friends with, gave her a lot of support and even helped line her up with a job. During all this, she even blamed our parents for her sticking with the marriage for so long and for not reaching out. I told her they had literally pleaded with her not to do this. I was there. I was 18, not 8. She said they told her she was dead to them if she ran off with him, and so she blamed them for not being able to leave him. I told her that was insane logic, and she just didn't want to talk about them and asked me not to tell them about her. I said, yeah, her relationship with them is her own. I also asked her who had given her my address. She begged me not to ask her that they hadn't given it easily. She'd had to swear secrecy and cry and convince them that I'd want to see my older sister. So I dropped it. We had tea and snacks after that. She asked me again if I wanted to do anything this weekend since she has the kids, or we could do something the weekend after, just the two of us. I said, I don't know. She was okay with that answer. She was tearful again when I was leaving. We hugged and I hugged the kids goodbye too. My mind has been a mess since then. I lashed out and everything, but also regret what I said. But then I also try to remember how I had felt back then, and then get angry again. It feels so weird knowing that she's now 20 minutes away from me and we can visit whenever. I told my girlfriend about all this. She said she supports me no matter what, but in her opinion to consider the weekend plan with a cool mind. This got long. I apologize, but I've been trying to collect my own thoughts on this, and writing this just seemed to help. Thanks for the help. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I'm glad you and your sister talked. I'm late to the party, but I was in a similar boat recently, and my sister is now married to a woman, so good luck, OP. That's a great moment to just be at least hear out one another on what's happened. One another's view. That doesn't mean you're forced to do anything, but at least you have the ability to decide if this is something you could pursue. My sister came from a domestic violence relationship, and so did I. The fact that we're both still alive and able to talk about our shitty parents is a huge support beam in my system. She's still recovering, and so am I, but we have one another, and she had her awesome life. Just take some time off the internet and enjoy a day where you relax, go out for a nice coffee and lunch, maybe to the park, all on your own, and just think. Allow yourself to cry in your car, talk to yourself, a day with self-care, or maybe a day and cuddle up warm pillows. Creating, drawing, but I really recommend getting out of the house off the internet. Dopamine media detox for a day basically, and let yourself feel and think. OP responds, I'm going to try and clear my mind, thanks. I've been thinking this again and again, that I should do what makes me happy, and maybe that is being able to reconnect with her and her kids, and then I think that's letting her off too easy. I was in pain back then, trying to reach out. What about that? It's been emotionally taxing. Your advice about taking some time off is good. Update, December 8th, 2025, 11 days later. Hi, I'd been getting a lot of moral support and advice from a lot of people here, which I appreciate. A few people had asked how things have gone. So I told my sister I couldn't spend Thanksgiving weekend with her. Partly because maybe I still wasn't in the right headspace for something like that, and also because I had to go to my parents for that weekend. And normally, when I go there, I usually end up staying over for the entire weekend. She said okay, asked me not to tell them that she was back in my life. I said fine. It wasn't my place, and besides, my parents had come to terms with her absence a while back. It was a bit surreal for sure to be with my parents and have this secret with me. We were spending the weekend like a complete family while my sister was at her apartment, and knowing this was weird. When I was back, she asked if I wanted to hang out next weekend, the one that just passed. Her kids would be with their dad, so the two of us could hang out. I know what a lot of commenters had said. I appreciate all their advice, but I had tried to clear my head, and my girlfriend had just told me to do whatever makes me happy. I did think about it, and I honestly decided that hanging out with her on Saturday would make me happier than not doing it. It wasn't about her, it was for myself. So I went to her apartment on Saturday. She asked me how her parents were doing. I said they were doing well now. Since she was the one who mentioned them, I asked her if she wanted to reconnect with them. It might be better for both her and maybe them, but she said no, and just repeated that line about them saying she was dead to them. It was clearly something said in the heat of the moment, but I didn't push her on it again. We just went to the mall, bought some clothes, then had dinner at her place and watched a movie. It was a light hangout in general. The conversation flowed smoothly. It obviously wasn't like it used to be, partly because I still keep thinking about how I felt when she had left us, about how I had to support our parents emotionally in the aftermath, and partly because she has changed a bit. She's a lot more anxious and nervous now than I remember her, but in general, it was a chill hangout. I did bring up that I'd like to know who gave her my address, that at this point, I didn't regret that they had given it to her, but still, they shouldn't do that. She got defensive and begged me not to ask her that they hadn't just given it easily. She had to plead and cry and promise that she'd take a rejection if that's what I did, and that she'd sworn secrecy. So again, I dropped it. It's whatever, I guess. I left and we said we'll meet up again soon. I had received a lot of comments saying I was stupid, that I had no self-esteem, that I was being used. I just would like you to understand that this isn't an abstract concept for me like it might be for you. This is my sister, the same sister who I grew up with, who helped me with school projects and helped me out in a ton of ways when I was growing up. And yes, the same sister who ghosted us for 9 years. I'm still angry about that. But like I said, I'm only doing what I want for myself, not out of some guilt now. And look, so far I'm down a subway fare's worth of dollars to visit her and a few hours at the mall. I'm fine with that loss. If after all this she ups and ghosts me again in the future for whatever reason, I've made my peace with that, and may we all get what we deserve in that case. Thank you for all the help. New update, January 28th, 2026, a bit over 2.5 months later. A few people had asked how things were going. I'd taken a bit of a break because it's just complicated, and I felt asking others' input was hurting more than helping. My sister and her kids and I had been meeting up whenever we could find time, and it was enriching. I liked that we were spending time regardless of a lot of feedback saying I was being had. I went up to my parents for the Christmas and New Year's holidays. During that period, there had been a couple of gatherings with the entire family. Uncles and aunts and cousins. It was in those gatherings, I guess, that I contextualized the extent to which my sister's actions had affected our family. All the other families were full, all siblings and kids, some of them with their spouses and young kids of their own. Ours was torn, and the entire extended family would still walk on eggshells sometimes. None of my cousins had to listen to their mom cry about their estranged sister while in college studying for exams and midterms and whatnot. I also realized I had been lying by omission to my parents about something huge, the whereabouts of their daughter, whom they still love and worry about. My relationship with them is the one that has sustained and withstood. So, a couple of weeks ago, I told my sister as much, that asking me to keep a secret like this wasn't fair. I was kind about it. I didn't lash out, didn't try to make her feel bad about everything we'd been put through. She was the one who got heated, saying our parents had told her she was dead to them, that she was facing hell while they had left her to die. I then brought up that they were the ones who did their best to prevent her from ending up in that situation, and she was the one who had left because she thought she knew better, because she cared more about her boyfriend than her entire family, whom she cut all contact with. She didn't budge on not talking to our parents, and I too said that we can't be talking to them. I'm not risking a stable relationship for one that had been proven to be flaky. That may have crossed a line because that led to tears. We didn't tell my niece and nephew that I won't be seeing them for a while. I don't know what she's going to explain to them. It's too painful for me too. Since then, my sister hasn't said anything on text, just sent pictures or videos like she was already doing of the kids or what was made for dinner a few times. I've heart reacted but said nothing either. I do hope we can come to a resolution on her end and the kids get to be close to their uncle and their grandparents. Relevant/top comments. Commenter 1. I'm glad your sister is safe, but it's really not fair for her to put your relationship with your parents in danger. Are you going to tell your parents that you heard from her? OP responds, No, I won't. I won't take the decision from her. That's her call. If that's why she didn't contact me once all this time, it's unbelievable that she thought I would have. Commenter 2. Yikes, I feel like there's something missing. Like, were your parents somehow abusing her, which drove her into the arms of her ex-husband? Did she cut them and you off because of "you're dead to me" comments? Maybe your ex weaponized those comments to keep her isolated and she's too close to the situation to think logically. A lot of time has gone by and I'm surprised she still feels this strongly. What will she do when they're dead and reunification is impossible? Cry some more? I think you have exceptional moral character by really thinking about your relationship with your parents and not wanting to be complicit in hurting them. OP responds, No, my parents have never been abusive. They'd always given us nothing but safety and love. They felt strongly about whom she was dating, but in hindsight, they were right. They said something in the heat of the moment, but were inconsolable in the months after she left until we all, without actually saying it, had decided to never mention her for our own peace. Commenter 3. Your sister is selfish and put you in an impossible situation. She wants a relationship after what she did, but it's still on her terms. She doesn't get to dictate anything after what she did to you and your family. Now it's all blown up in her face. She's happy to let you back in her life. Ask her if she was still with her husband, would she have even bothered trying to reconnect with you? I seriously doubt it, OP. Commenter 4. Your sister is putting you in the middle. She wanted you to keep it secret from your parents that you and her were in contact. Yet she won't reveal who told her your address? Why is she protecting this other person but doesn't appreciate the position you're in? Especially if your parents did find out that you had been meeting with her and their grandchildren. She doesn't seem to understand the emotional distress she's putting you under and appeared flippant when you mentioned that she had also blocked you all those years ago. Sounds like a one-sided relationship to me. There is still too much unresolved hurt and emotions going on here. Maybe a little break might help you to clear your head and help you decide what part you want to play in this whole mess. Good luck! See, my personal tinfoil hat theory is that the mystery person who gave out the address is the girlfriend. I know that might be a bit of a stretch, but it kind of makes the most sense here. Also, in my opinion, I really think the sister needs therapy to help her get past what she's been through, because it sounds like there's still a lot of emotional turmoil and previous thoughts that she's held on to for all these years that are going to be putting a pretty heavy strain on all of her future relationships with her family. And as some commenters pointed out, it's also incredibly unfair that she's putting OP in this position where they pretty much have to choose between holding a secret and hurting their parents and keeping a sister who abandoned them almost a decade ago happy. The sister seems to be in a position where she's taking and taking and taking, but not really giving. I'll be keeping an eye out for updates, but for now it seems that this is where this story has a pause. Don't forget, this is brought to you by GamerSupps. Use code OZ at checkout. It's basically a caffeine powder that you put in your water, and I actually really like it. I use this on a daily basis. Don't forget that every purchase you make using code EYES directly supports the channel. And if you want a personal recommendation from me, I would either recommend the Soda Pressing Pear or Dragon Fruit Punch. Those two are currently my favorite flavors. And as a note, once we sell a certain amount of stuff, I get my own flavor and my own cup, and you all know I'm gonna choose some degenerate shit that's gonna make their PR team squirm. My goal is to make them regret partnering with me. So please, use code EYES at checkout to make my dream come true of making a PR team squirm.